Right, we should now be live. We are streaming. So for anybody that's in the chat, hello. I just need
those people that have been waiting there in the chat just for the next time you stream.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, for chipping in before I'd even finished saying hello. Just what I expected. Yeah, apologies for anybody that's been waiting. I've been trying to get some other technical things going, but it's not kind of work. But anyway,
was it scheduled?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh right, well that makes sense now. Now I see why you said that.
Why I said what?
Well, because I thought you just meant hello anyone in the chat, and like they'd just been waiting since your last stream. I was unaware that you'd actually scheduled the stream.
See that's what you get for kind of like, chipping in, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I haven't got a notification.
I know, well that's what I mean. I set it up earlier, but nothing kind of happened.
I got the notification.
Oh.
I'm here, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't get Adam to shut up. So, yeah, Chris is here. Everybody, you should know him from the community. He has his own channel doing movies, which is kind of why we wanted him on a little bit, because we were going to talk about something that... so I'm going to tell him to bugger off to his own channel instead of interrupting you. Yeah, kind of, this video is kind of inspired by Clobbering Time did one recently about the death of Lornography, or what he perceived was drying up, and of course it kind of is, because there's been no new content, and that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. And hello everybody that's in the chat. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing, this. We only kind of put it on an hour or so ago, or decided we were going to do it during a game of Grand Theft Auto, didn't we, guys?
Yeah.
I don't think you said hello yet, have you, Chris? I do apologise.
No.
Oh dear.
Alright, no worries.
Yeah.
Trapped in a Dalek.
Yeah, can you say, guys in the chat, could you just tell us about the audio? Is it any good? Is it crap? Can you hear me and Adam and Chris okay? Can you just say hello again, Chris?
Hello again, Chris.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that. Yeah. Sounds robotic. Andrew's kind of echoing. Right. Right. I tell you what. I do apologise, guys. Chris is like a robot. I think Andrew might be 40. What's that got to do with anything?
What?
What? Where did that come from?
I don't know.
You guys sound fine to me.
Okay, well you're breaking up a little bit anyway. Andrew, there's a little bit of feedback on my mic. Right, yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna have to get this sorted. But is it okay to carry on? Anybody? Is it unlistenable?
Could I make a suggestion, Andy? Are you quite close to the mic?
Yeah.
Why don't you just go a couple of inches back? I think that's why we're getting the reverb.
Right, is that any better?
It's a little quieter, but there's no more reverb.
Right, just, guys, could you just tell me how that is at the minute?
Yeah, it's much better for me.
Right, guys in the chat was thinking more. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's okay, right, okay, that'll kind of do. Right, so, Clobbering Time did a video when he was talking about Lornography, and is it dying or is it dead? Now, we've talked about similar kind of issues recently, but I suppose what we wanted to say, me and you had kind of a disagreement, didn't we, Adam? Because I said we don't need any new material, and you said that we do.
We do. I do believe we do. Yeah. Well,
So-
actually, it was less heated than most of our disagreements, to be fair, so we can get it heated now. Disagreements. But, well, why put your point forward first, Andy, as it's your show?
My show. Welcome to the Andy Show. Well, the only reason being, sometimes you can have too much content, right? When there's any particular topic or entertainment, it's like I almost said like franchise then, but kind of what I mean is you can have too much of something, can't you? Like whether it be like a TV franchise where you keep throwing out shit content, and whether it be like music where artists throw out loads of albums and some of them get crap and I think it's the same with Lornography. How many times are we going to wind him up and get him to say stupid things until it becomes boring? Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It's like, what else I suppose my point is, what else is there to do? And I suppose what Clobbering Time was saying, I do get where he was coming from, because we're so used to as a so-called quote-unquote community having new content over the last couple of years, that when it stops everybody starts running around panicking. Hence why that video was made. And you're right, we do go over the same stuff, but there's such a massive array of material. I don't think it could ever totally dry up. I think someone with intelligence and any decent insight can always find a new angle to look at it from. Do you get me?
We made a lot of videos about Lorne, and I disagree, because I think at points I was like, we've said this before, we're kind of making the same points over and over again. I was starting to bore myself at times, and that's why I would say we do need new material, because when the Ramona stuff came out, we were like vultures around a body, because it was new material. We couldn't wait to hear it, and we loved those calls. You have to admit that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can't be a liar, can I? I can't say, oh, it was shit and I hated it, because I didn't. I don't. As it went on, I didn't agree with where it was going, and that caused a lot of not drama, but some people can we have too much curly haired? What? Oh, yeah. No, some people disagree with the stance that I took, and we both kind of got labelled hypocrites for saying. It was kind of me saying I disagreed with where it went, but it wasn't. It was always kind of going to be that way, really. I just thought there wasn't an end game. It was a little bit. I mean, there's no point going into that, but
we questioned the motives, and people didn't like that, because when you ask people to say, well, why are you doing this? What's the real reasons? Because 4 or 5 calls that were hilarious, great, but when it's a prolonged, communication with this guy that goes on for years and years, you have to start saying, well, why? What's it? There must be something in this for you, not just the person you're trolling. None of even say Chris Chan's trolls trolled him for that kind of length of time. I think that's what people didn't like, and I don't mind saying and it was kind of frustrating, because we said, we literally said in videos, we are hypocrites. And then people left in the comments going, you two are a pair of hypocrites.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I kind of I always, if I've done something wrong, or, been a bit harsh towards a person, or you, or people in the community, I'll admit it. So that was kind of why I said, what, if I am. But I kind of the more I thought about it, I thought, what, I don't really think that it was like that. It's because as it went along, I started to disagree with the path it took, because initially it seemed that nobody was becoming in any harm, and then at the end it was just attacking him for the sake of attacking him. But anyway, that's irrelevant. That's not the topic of what we're talking about. Someone's made a great point, and I was going to bring that up, but I knew you'd shout at me, and it was a comparison to Star Wars, but... And the way that hear me out, the way that Disney got hold of Star Wars and ruined it by making too much shite content, and it's demeaned the actual value of the original source material. Chris hasn't spoke much, if not at all. What do you think, Chris, about the so-called no content at the minute? Chris? Has he just...
I don't know if it's his connection.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Did you hear the question?
No, I was just trying to sort it out while you guys were talking, but I kind of see both sides. You need more content to create more. I mean, you need more drama to create more content in regards of you can't beat a dead horse, so to speak. Also, it gets old really quick without their new stuff. But like, there's only so much you can go with it. So, I mean, for me personally, I don't agree with Adam with that.
Well, yeah, but then, I mean, Andy and I were making videos, maybe more than one a week. So for me, I was kind of bored. I did get bored with the Lornography because we were talking, it got to a point where we'd almost come full circle and we were going back to saying things we'd said in the first few videos. And that's why, I guess, for us, like the Ramonicals and the new content was such a blessing because we had new things to talk about. The trouble I find... Well, the problem I kind of find within this community, and I'm certainly not going to point fingers and there's plenty of great people in the community, but I do think when there's no new content, it becomes a more toxic place because there's no new drama, so people create drama with each other. And it's kind of the reason that I started wanting to pull back. I mean, Andy, you got a lot of shit over the last year from people. Luckily, because I've been more of a bystander, it's not come so bad to me, but
I mean the channel Andrew Burkett, that's me, that's my name, so obviously I'm going to get the shit. But you're right, I did get, some of it was just, really, I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
It was toxic.
Some of it got personal as well. This is where I got, if somebody wants to leave a message on any of my videos or whatever and say, I think you are a twat, that's fine, but what started happening was there are certain people within the community that know personal information about me, and that information got out there and it got personal, and that is what the essence of something going toxic is, and there was no fucking need for it, and it was pathetic really. And if you think about it, how does a group of people taking the piss, because that's initially what it was supposed to be, Lornography, taking the piss out of a sex offender, how does that end up getting a load of people turning on each other? How does that happen? It's quite crazy, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, but it's also kind of it is a very touchy subject matter, and people can always question, like, you don't go out to your mates down the pub and go, oh, I'm into talking about this paedophile on YouTube, do you? Because they'll go, what the fuck, you're a freak.
Well, just as a kind of example, I went to a friend's birthday party last night, and there was a couple of people that I've not seen in a long time, and they were asking me what I was doing, and, what have you been doing for a while, and it got brought up in conversation, my YouTube channel, and it's not like it's been not a significant part of my life, but it's been a part of my life for a couple of years because I've met different people. It's changed some of my social elements. I've been to Spain to visit you a few times. I met other people, so it naturally comes up in conversation. And when you mention to somebody, you can't. It's a virtually impossible thing to tell somebody who doesn't know anything about it.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's like a dirty secret, isn't it? You don't tell other people that you're into this stuff because they start going, well, why does he want to learn about pedos? We make jokes all the time, don't we? Like that you're the king pedo and teaching everyone how to do it, Andy.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's quite funny though, isn't it?
I mean, the stigma that you guys are talking about is the reason why I stopped being part of the community real quick, even though I wasn't really in there for very long. But I didn't feel comfortable with being like, I felt like if I couldn't tell people what I was doing, then that's a red flag. You know what I mean? So I backed away slowly and quickly changed my content. Not to say that I'm not an avid going back and watching those Predators as a guilty pleasure. I still do that.
Yeah.
But it's weird though, because I did a video with Shin's Koala, who's got a legal background, and we briefly talked about how he viewed the community and nothing but positive things to say about it, which was really good to hear. I've seen both sides of it. I've met some great people and some not so great people, which is just any walk of life really, but he only saw the positive aspects of it. And we have all, to a different degree, seen the other side of it. We do know that there's a lot of... Someone left a message on my old channel. They left a message saying, I've really having a go at me. It was really out of the blue, and it was quite personal as well, so I replied to them in private. And this person said, listen, I didn't want to post... They ended up deleting the comment, which was quite personal. And I said, what the fuck are you playing at? You know, what's your issue? And they said, oh, there's been enough bickering in the community lately, so I thought I'd delete it. Well, I didn't even know there were. So there was all... My point is, there was a load more drama goes on that I know about. I don't consider myself invested totally in the TCAT community. I do my own videos. I speak to a select group of people, and then a load of shit goes on that I don't even know about, and that's kind of the way I like it. So I think there's even more stuff goes on that we're even aware of. You actually go on the Temple of TCAT forums, don't you, Adam? I've never been on there.
I lurk on there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go on quite a bit, don't you?
One comment, but that's because someone labelled you and me in the own bracket, and of course my ego got the better of me, and I had to go and explain that I do my own things, but they were labelling you and myself as the same person. So, but yeah, other than that, I've never left a comment. But the thing is, actually, I like the Temple of TCAP. I don't know who's who in there because people use different names to say they use on YouTube, but most of the people on there actually seem very down to earth, and they share a lot more similar views than you and I, that you and I do, than perhaps other people. So it's actually a pretty cool site, and you get, you know, I still look. I am probably the walking definition of a hypocrite, because I say like I'm bored with like Lornography, but then I'll go on Temple of TCAP going, oh, has someone got a link to a new video? I won't say it, but I'll be looking around for that. Sorry, I hope you don't mind, Andy. Last Tanker is just, you say we need more lawn content. What kind of content would you like to see, and why? Okay, the Last Tank. Okay, let's take, for example, the Paul and Casey stuff. We've not been allowed to see half of that. And that's because people are like withholding this content. There is more lawn content that could be uploaded. People have gone to the time and effort to troll him, but we're not being allowed to see it. And I guess that's probably because we're kind of outsiders. I'm sure they have shared OneDrives that they see this stuff, but I'd love to see the rest of that content, for example. I just want to see more of how this guy's mind works.
Ooh, someone's got the secret Lorn shit. It's like they're bogarting it. It's like, Are we really talking? We're talking about a pedophile. We're like, oh, someone's got the goods on him, but they won't share it with everybody else. It's like some kind of pot of gold or something.
It's like a power play, isn't it? It's like, well, I'm going to keep. Well, I don't know the reasons behind that, and I'm sure it's
silly, don't we? Kind of.
Yeah, but it's because of what Andy mentioned before. It's, you know, this kind of infighting that goes on in the community that we've always been kind of a step back from, so we've never really got involved with that. So there is new content out there. I'd be very interested to see that. A good troll where the intent is literally to take the piss out of someone who deserves taking the piss out of. Because I think especially Andy and I had kind of differing views when it came to the calls. I was bored because they weren't entertaining me anymore, whereas Andy was kind of more worried that Lorne is going to go out and...
No, but you did have that worry as well, Adam. It wasn't...
No.
I did have that to a more extent than you, but you also had... I'm not saying that anybody that disagrees doesn't have a moral standing, but I was coming at it from the aspect that I thought it was a bit irresponsible to just blindly try and psychologically destroy this guy and not give a fuck about the consequences, because that's what was happening, bringing characters into it that was just trying to fuck him over. And people, this is genuinely what I believe, the reason I got so much shit is because some people who gave me the shit kind of knew I was onto something and knew that it was irresponsible, and they were projecting that guilt onto me. Because rather than accept the consequences and stand back and say, well, hang on a minute, maybe we shouldn't do this, they then run the risk of not getting that content. So rather than look at that themselves, they'll just fucking have a go at me because I was one of few people to actually say, well, actually, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Because it's a very uncomfortable position, because really what I got labelled with was kind of sticking up for a sex offender, which I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't sticking up for him and saying let's protect him. I was sticking up for doing the right thing. Is a very grey area, because we don't really know what the right thing. I just felt that it wasn't the right way to go about it, because there was potentially collateral damage. We didn't know what he was going to do, and his family. Was he going to run around and kill someone? I mean, them are extreme views. That was never going to happen. I just thought that.
Well, I agree with exactly what you're saying, because what really was the end game? Was it to try and drive the man to suicide or something? And okay, yeah, he is one of society's absolute degenerates, but
there are worse. That was my point. And what, like, Sam
We've always
Pendleton...
said there's been worse predators who deserve this kind of trolling.
Yeah.
And don't get it. And
Exactly.
They say,
He was the... you said it.
Because of this. I'm doing it because of that. But then we can list like 20 other people who need to be trolled and fucked with for the rest of their lives because of the shit that they did. And then there's Lorne because he cried. You got to look at like why Lorne sometimes to understand some of these questions you're asking, Andy. Why Lorne?
Because he's an easy target.
Yeah. So you've got a bunch of bullies in a community. Eventually, they're going to start bullying themselves.
Ken has just made a point, and this was when we, perhaps not just us, when quite a few people came out and said, we're not sure about where these calls are going. What is the end game here? Are you just trying to get him to commit suicide or, break down completely? Because is that okay? We're not Judge, Judy, and executioner. And Ken has just made a point. They said, well, we're stopping Lorne from fucking.
That's a very flaky answer.
Yeah, absolutely weak excuse. Become one of the creep catchers if that's
that
what you
was
want
exactly what Ramona said. Whoever Ramona was, and I cannot make any comments towards that person on a personal level because I don't know them. I can only go off the evidence that was given to me. And from what everybody knows, and her response to why she was doing it was, if me doing that helps one person in Maine, then that's why I'm doing it. And that is a total load of bullshit, because if you're that bothered about protecting the people in the area that he lives, go and take a volunteer's job at the local police department. Spend all day helping sex offenders. Don't fucking spend 12 hours on the fucking phone to Lorne Armstrong every day. Do you get where I'm coming from?
There's a million things you could do. You can volunteer yourself at like a clinic or help battered women. I don't know. Shelters. Yeah. There's things you could do. Oh, you're gonna troll a predator and giggle.
And if you want to do that, that's fine. But at least be honest about it and say, I've got fuck all else to do, or I like talking to him. She even admitted once that she missed him when he wasn't there. Now that said to me that someone's got in too deep there. What does that say about a person?
Well, it was all very convoluted, and I think when we asked for answers, people didn't like that. But if you've got 12 spare hours a day, yeah, you can go and work with abuse victims and help them. If you've got that amount of time, do something proper and good with your life. Go and volunteer for a charity work.
Exactly, and there's nothing, like I said, if you want to do that, we got the content out of it. So yes, it would be inappropriate of us to make all these videos about it and say, you're a bastard for making this content. No. But it would be if the person doing it was totally transparent, but they weren't. To come up with all these justifications for doing it, that was what I didn't like. There was no end game. Sam Pendleton, who I've got a lot of time for, and still do, he's a great guy, very intelligent, he's got a moral compass. He understood that what he was doing might necessarily have been wrong, it might have been right, he wasn't saying. But what he said, what I didn't necessarily agree with one time, he said the Ramona Project. Now, it's not a fucking project, because a project has a couple of things, and one is you have a plan, and then the whole point of a project is you have something at the end of it, not a conclusion, but a product at the end of it. So in other words, you've got a goal, a specific goal. What do you want to achieve out of it? There was nothing. It was just ripping him for the sake of ripping him, which is fine, but let's be honest and transparent about it. Is that what was going on?
Well, a couple of people both said for the lols. And hi, Joey. But they both said for the lols, and I get that. But the laughs dried up in those calls. They did towards the end. They weren't funny anymore. They were just kind of weird and boring. If they were funny, and this, morally, I think we've all got our own issues. And I know I make comparisons to him all the time, but I think Chris Chan and Lorne are very kind of similar, although Chris Chan never did anything quite as bad as what Lorne did. But the trolling with Chris Chan it is funny. It's horribly. I mean, it went too far with the blue spike stuff, and that it went far too far than it should have done. But it was funny, and then when it was no longer funny, it stopped.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing is for me, like you said before we started doing the video, I've got more of a deeper interest in Lorne's psychology than maybe some people. I just find him a very interesting case study. So I suppose for me, I can always find new stuff to do. Like, I usually on average make a video every 10 days or something like that. And it's a nice pastime to have, and every now and again I'll think of a different angle and people like it, and it's good. So in other words, I don't think material will never dry up for me, if you get what I mean. Even if there was just the chat log, even if all we had was the chat log, I'd be more than happy with that.
Well, would you not feel that perhaps your life might have been better if your obsession had been with Socrates rather than Lord Armstrong?
No, but it's a different. You can't. It's not really a comparison you can make, isn't it? Because I do read. I think I have a healthy balance in my life. In other words, I don't spend all day reading the whole of Lornography. I do read about philosophy, spirituality, all kinds of different things. I read anyway. I'm not trying to justify myself. The point is, this is a crazy niche that is a nice thing to have. It's nice that not that many people know about it. It's good when you have a little bit of an interest and there's only us guys that know about it, and the people in the community, the people that are in the chat now. It's a nice little niche to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I guess saying that thing about Socrates, it was very tongue-in-cheek, because I fall down all sorts of rabbit holes. There are people, not just Lorne, that I've become obsessed with, that I want to learn about, and normally they are freaky people like Chris Chan, Alex Johans.
What's the difference between Lorne and getting obsessed with a serial killer? Like, some people devote their entire professional lives to studying specific criminals, like Ted Bundy. Who's the original Texas Chainsaw guy? What was he called?
John Wayne Gacy was the clown, wasn't he?
Someone in the chat will know, surely. It was the original. Basically, it was the Ed Gein.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ed Gein was the guy that took people's faces, sorry to get really fucking, took people's faces off and put them on himself. It was how, the Texas Chainsaw was based on a number of people, but he was the main guy, a guy called Ed Gein. And people, and like me and you have took an interest in the James Bulger case, Adam, in recent years. There's a guy that's wrote a couple of books on that. I don't think he's necessarily made a whole career out of it, but some people devote their entire lives to studying one criminal, don't they? What about Pablo Escobar? Have I just compared Lorne to Pablo Escobar?
They glamorise Pablo Escobar as well, though, and I think it's kind of. He was a serial killer, wasn't he? In a way, but he was also a huge narcotics smuggler and, well, head honcho or whatever you call these people. And I think it is kind of glamorised. I mean, I've absolutely loved Narcos, but yeah, did watch it and go, wouldn't it be cool to be badass like that? But that's a bit more like, isn't it like watching a gangster movie and going, fucking hell, I'd love to be Tony Montana. I think that's more kind of looking at the other side of life and going, wow, that'd be pretty badass, but I'll just make do with Hollywood movies or books to fill that gap. Even to kind of address your point with serial killers, people have a very, the dark, especially someone like me, I don't really understand the darker side, like people that have dark thoughts. I've never had the urge to kill or hurt someone, really. But that's probably why I have a fascination with people that get off on doing that. But with Lorne, he's not a serial killer. He was a failed child molester. So he doesn't have the glamour around him. Yeah, he's probably got a more active and bigger community than anyone like John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, Ed Gein.
I remember when I got my first ever tattoo, and the guy in the tattoo shop, or whatever you want to call it, tattoo parlour, shop sounds a bit weird. Anyway, he had a tattoo on his foot of Ted Bundy. And this guy murdered women, and I was like, I asked him, and he didn't give me like a satisfactory answer, and I just thought, what a strange... he did come across a bit odd, this guy, but I thought, isn't that a very strange thing to do? I mean, do you get what I mean? I assumed that he wasn't, wanted by the police at that point, but I just thought, always stuck with me in my head that, because it's alright having an interest in, I've got loads of books on serial killers and criminals, and I love reading books about people's journey when they're in prison and things like that. But yeah, I've never felt the need to sort of idolise a fucking serial killer or sex offender. I find that very odd, but I suppose we're going slightly off topic. I mean, where do you sort of see the fascination with Lorne compared to other people that might be worthy of study, Chris?
For me, I think he's interesting to a point, but I mean, I think for me personally, I have him figured out. I don't think he's that complicated of a person. His actions could, like you said, could always be analyzed, and his chat log and things he does. Actually, you could still, make some pretty decent content from it, and there's still something to get from it. But for me personally, you just find out that he's a down on his luck guy, caught in a bad situation. That's kind of where it ends for me. I've always kind of been a TCAP kind of guy. And it wasn't until getting into his chat log and learning about him a little bit more where I got excited and interested in understanding the thought process that these guys are actually going through to do something like this. But that for me, it didn't last long. I kind of figured out that they're degenerate, weak-minded, impulse control-driven individuals that are probably down on their luck or bored or horny. And I don't feel the need to investigate any more brain power into understanding Lorne's psyche any more than, I've learned in the past year or so. Does that make any sense?
No, it makes total sense. It kind of, as you sort of explaining it, then it actually makes me feel shit about myself for actually investing so much time in it. I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's right.
I wasn't meaning it as a person.
Oh, no, you weren't, mate. Don't worry about that. When you say it... You're right in what you say, Chris. He's not a complicated fella. However, I always find that you can, even though he's not complicated, he's still a human being with a complicated mind structure. And what I find interesting is you can always find snippets of information from his past that can justify things that he did that you can't quite figure out. There are certain parts of the whole Lornography and things that he did that we'll never get the answers to. And it's about... it doesn't happen as much anymore because I don't do as many videos, but quite regularly people will message me and say that you made me think about how the human mind works in a different way just from listening to Lorne's videos. So I get something out of it from studying him, even though he's a basic human.
Screenshot of that comment.
Sorry?
I want to see a screenshot of someone saying that.
Why do you gotta shit on everybody's parade, Adam? Jeez.
I've dried us up.
Yeah, you've kind of interrupted me mid-flow there, Adam. Cheers for that. But no, I do get what you're saying, Chris. Well, put it this way, he's not.
I understand the fascination, but for me personally, it just died.
But it's more of his situation rather than him psychologically. It's more how much of a crazy situation it was that he found himself in. To have the information as well on someone's story, and because he's so inadvertently funny. If it was somebody like, if you think of somebody from TCAP who's like dull as fuck, who's got nothing about him at all. I'm trying to think.
Canelli.
No, but he's kind of funny, isn't he?
He is funny, actually. I can't think. Maurice Wolin?
No, because he's a doctor, but I'm trying to think of somebody. It's very difficult to think of someone that you're not supposed to have thought about. That's the whole bit of paradox.
Right, and they wouldn't air a boring person on there.
Well, there are guys that turned up and just walked away, and they're probably the most boring ones, aren't they?
Good point,
Well,
yeah.
they're the smartest ones, too.
Yeah.
That's not saying a lot. I'm not giving them credit for being intelligent, but at least they didn't go in.
That's the thing with Lorne, though, and I guess that's maybe where I differ from Andy, because I was in it for the entertainment, and for me it's become less and less entertaining.
But is that because the content's dried up?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, the original Ramona calls were fucking hilarious.
I mean, there's no point. It'd be ridiculous for me to say that they weren't, because when me and you got that original 3.5 hour call, I think it might have even been Joey that sent it to us. I can't actually remember. We must have listened to it 3 or 4 times in the space of 2 days, and every now and again I still listen to it now.
Yeah, so do I. When I'm working, they used to be perfect for working to, because you could just sit and listen, and they were funny. And then maybe we jumped up on our high horses, and but they were, the first calls. It was like, wow, we're getting more information from this guy, And there had not really been much. There had been like the couple of interviews he had done with people before, but there hadn't been much, and we got to learn a lot more about his psyche 10 years on, and he hadn't changed one iota.
Yeah, I mean, now that we talk, I can understand.
We were expecting him to. I mean, Jesus.
Disappointing might be the wrong word, but no one that most people learn from their mistakes, and that's probably why he is such a fascinating character, like the one guy that refuses to learn from his mistakes.
He's such a character. I think that's like what Andy was saying. The initial attraction was because he's just like the weird character guy who's just he stands out like to make a Seinfeld reference. He's like Kramer. He's just there and does weird shit, and he's just.
I compared him to I sort of made a comparison to him being unlovable Homer Simpson. Homer Simpson's character is funny because he's so stupid but lovable. Lorne's so stupid and says comical things, but he's obviously not lovable because he's a sex offender. And it was when we saw the original footage, before we'd heard any of the Ramona stuff, it was almost like he was that bashful and stupid he wasn't a real person. And that's another element of why he's intrigued so many of us. But now we have so much information, but yet interest in him or Lornography hasn't really diminished, I would say, because people still want to troll him all the time. It went on a few months ago. People, there's still that interest, isn't there?
Would you say, Andy, that you're a TCAP or a Lornographer first? Well, I think we all know the answer, but definitely a Lornographer first. But I do have I'm interested in that type of criminality. So yeah, Lornographer, definitely. But what, if you're interested in that type of criminality, but why did you end up focusing so much on this one person? Because
we had more information about him than any of the others, and I found his situation more interesting because if you take the doctor, for instance, that you mentioned, Maurice Woolen, and I am repeating myself because I do say this same thing in a lot of videos, but it is a common theme of repeating oneself. He just wanted to screw underage girl. That was his only goal. Lorne fell in love, or he thought he did. That was the thing that drew my attention to his segment of the episode more than anything else. It was like, hang on a minute, this guy actually thinks he loves this girl. How amazing is this? And then to watch him break down in tears, you got everything that you wanted from TCAP. You got a bit of disgusting, because you want extreme viewing. So you're like, oh my god, he said that to a child. Then you got the fact that he thought he was in love with her. Then you saw him break down in tears, and then you saw guns get pointed at him. What is there not to love about that segment?
No, yeah, I mean, it was the Lorne.
With that being said, though, would we have keyed on Lorne specifically if he didn't cry?
I think so. I think the chat log is the key here. I think without the chat log, Lornography wouldn't have existed. And I apologise.
Yeah, totally agree.
Got hold of the chat log, but because you then have the whole context of everything leading up to the sting and this.
Yes.
Would you have been interested in his chat log if he didn't go, "Oh God," when he started crying? Like that memorable moment is like the linchpin of Lornography. Is that?
Do you know what bit it reminds me of? Where do you know The Simpsons, where Lisa goes on a date with Ralph, and then Bert's replaying the footage back, and he goes, "You can actually pinpoint the minute when his heart rips in half," and then he goes, "Yeah." It's yeah, it's like that. When you're watching the footage, you can pinpoint the minute when Lorne's heart breaks, and.
Do you know what? If we had the editing skills, we should get Bart doing that over the Lorne teacup clip. Pinpoint the minute where his heart breaks.
We know somebody that could do that.
We're gonna have to do that, even if we are all lazy at doing editing skills. But we're gonna have to do it, or pay somebody to do it for us.
It's not that hard. Now that I think.
Right, I think you've just volunteered for it, Chris.
Yeah, there you go, Chris.
I can figure it out.
You heard it here, guys. But yeah, so I suppose what we wanted to talk about was can the interest in Lorne continue without, let's just say, from this moment on, there is absolutely no new content whatsoever fucking ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can still carry on making a video every week or so. I wouldn't be able to do live streams every other week, but there'd always be... You could always, like, every year, this is the strange thing, next year, on Lawrence Day, we'd still do another stream, we'd still have a laugh, we'd still talk about his favourite moments, because there's that many of them. Just think...
Right, and those are still funny, and we have to say something about all three of us kind of met around this goofy asshole and his stupid sayings and the dumb shit that he does, and us trying to make sense of it, in some shitty way or however it is. And you're right. There's always going to be an entertaining side, I think, regardless if there's any new shit coming out.
Someone put a comment on one of my videos the other day, I can't remember which one it was, and just said, how can Lorne be a bad thing if it's brought all these people together? Now, my journey through YouTubing has been a rocky one, full of ups and downs. But on the whole, it's been a positive experience. None of us, this whole thing of what we're doing now, you two guys, all three of us are talking. There's 45 people in the chat at the minute. But all of our courses, lives have been changed, however significantly or insignificant, but by this fucking one sex offender. I mean, what a strange thing, isn't it?
But
yeah,
it's a hypothetical question for you. Do you think your life would have been better or worse if you'd never fallen down the Lorne rabbit hole?
Oof.
Mine's better, I'll be honest.
Well, I'd say better, because YouTube has kind of been a positive thing for me.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Because I didn't listen. I'm not made like a. It's just like I said, it's just a hobby. But I would have never made a YouTube video if it weren't for Lorne. Ever.
Same.
You was already in. You messaged me a couple of years ago, didn't you, Adam? And said, "Hello, I think you're talking shit. Let's make a video because I know more than you do."
He's like, "Hello, I'm Adam. I'm better than you."
I've got 20,000 subscribers. You've only got 2,000. Let's make a video, and then you can try and leech off my popularity. That's what you said, isn't it?
Well, I said something along those lines. Yeah, but I was very complimentary. I said you sound like Peter Kay talking about Lorne, and that's funny to me. So let's do a video together.
Yeah.
Well, I trolled Adam for like 6 months.
Yeah, I thought Chris was a 14-year-old boy for a long time because he kept saying, "Phone my mum, phone my mum." It was weird.
I actually remember, Chris, the first time me and Adam were playing GTA, and you joined the game, and you actually said, "This is an honor for me." You actually said that.
Yeah, did I really?
Yes, you
Now-
fucking
now
did.
he knows.
You're embarrassing the shit out of
And
me.
Adam still masturbates about that, even to this day.
Oh, it's such an honor.
Such an ass kisser, I guess.
Yeah, back then you were. What changed?
I was just honored to have friends. You guys really misunderstood what I was saying.
Yeah, this is an honor for me that anyone. He says it to anyone. He goes to McDonald's. The guy says, "Here's your change. Have a nice day." What an honor!
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to sort of talk about like the community as well, and how like people jump in and jump out. We've all spoke to people who've like, you know, come into the community and then disappeared. Some of them of just like attention grabbing and stuff like that, and look at me, I'm controversial. You know, there's no point mentioning names, but someone came into the community, and within a couple of days they started saying how they were a victim of various abuse when they were younger, which was it was just timed very strangely, and I didn't believe they were telling the truth. But you said, we talked about this before, Adam, and you said that's a sign of how toxic this particular community can be, when I said really that's just like any YouTube community. You're always going to get people that are just doing it for attention, aren't you?
Well, I think I'm aware of the person you're talking about. Someone who's no longer involved with the community, if I'm correct.
Yeah, well, I've not seen them around for a while.
But that person, the trouble was, they. And I'm sorry to say it, guys, but some of the people in this community, some of the guys are thirsty as fuck. And any woman comes into the community, I apologise if you're one of the thirsty guys and you take offence, but try stop being thirsty on YouTube. It's so 2016.
In other words, Adam did it and failed and doesn't try again.
Oh, I don't need to be thirsty on YouTube with 24,000 subscribers. But
Ooh.
21.
Right.
24?
Oh, sorry, I do apologise.
Yeah, get it right, Andy. Bloody
Sorry.
But no, and the trouble is, I think some women. Oh shit! Bloody hell! I'm gonna get called up by the SJW parade now. But females have come into the community. They get loads
they have
of
a parade?
Sorry?
Social justice warriors have parades now?
I don't know what I'm even saying. No, but I know that you're aware of the person we're talking about, Chris, as well.
Yes.
And my
They were all in the community briefly, weren't they?
very briefly, and basically they came into the community. Every conversation was turned about them and their
They
life.
created a load of drama, fell out with virtually everybody, started slagging me off publicly as well, which was really weird.
Yeah, backstabbing, sending screenshots of shit to other people that other people shouldn't have seen, stuff like that, backstabbing. It was an absolute example of how toxic they can be. And that person came in the community, got a bunch of attention from the dudes here because they've got a vagina. And then when they realised that it wasn't all about them and that we've been brought together by this bald-headed paedophile, no offence, Andy.
I was just going to say, there's no need for that kind of insult.
You can't upset
Wait,
that.
Andy's got a little bit of
I
hair.
said it. But we've been brought together by him. This community is not for you. It's for everyone to take pleasure in looking at the downfall of a paedophile. And that is, for me, I think that was the point where I started realising how toxic it got. And
Were we not letting one person ruin it for us, though? Because to be fair, that
No,
person was like an extreme
I'm pretty
example.
Sure this person, there's more. I'm pretty sure there's more of them out there. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's not just one apple spoiling the bunch. There's a few. I know you guys know that there's a few more people.
No,
Doing
absolutely.
not similar stuff, but doing maybe similar stuff, but maybe just different shit, different things, different manipulative things, different attention-seeking behaviors, that kind of thing.
But isn't that like I've said, isn't that part of any any YouTube community, or is it because it is a very strange thing to be all talking about these sex offenders, isn't it? And glorify, well, not glorifying Lorne, but he is.
No.
He's like a poster boy, isn't he, for sex offenders?
with a community like this that is so niche, the difference is you can't say this. Well, we don't have other communities to compare to. I suppose I've got like my scam baiting community, but it's a much larger community than TCAP, I guess. So I don't see it right down to kind of the smallest degree like you do with this. With TCAP, the creators and just the commenters are on the same level, if that makes sense. So you can get involved, like chatting to people. You might, someone who's never made a video, but you might make friends with them on the Temple of TCAP forum or something. So I don't think we can compare to other communities. Like, but if you look at, let's say, a gaming community, the distance between the people that leave comments and the creators is much larger because they're much larger and less niche communities. So I don't think it's really possible to make a comparison, and I don't think it would be possible. You couldn't walk into, I don't know, for example, the Minecraft community and make everything about yourself because it's already a community with millions of people involved in it.
You know, I'm just reading some of the comments, and it just makes me realise, like, sometimes you forget about little things like, you sound so sweet. And it's just little things like that just make me realise why I'm still interested in it. Because just when you get, like, analytical and deep in the psychology of it, someone... Yeah, it's like, you sound so sweet. It's like little things like that, and Logan G just go K, Super Rose. It's just little things like that really fucking make me laugh. And who was it that's just said, have you still got, has Bunky still got Lord's toy? It just fucking makes me laugh.
Bunky really was Bunky. Do you know what content we do need, actually? To go back to the comment the last anchor asked much earlier, do you know that what content I would love is the full Amanda James story?
Oh, God,
I'd love to know about.
But I kind of like the fact that there's still a bit of mystery, because we're not going to know everything, and if we knew everything, it'd be boring, but it used to be a lot of fun when we used to theorise about what he was up to, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Sorry, someone's just mentioned in the chat the John Dupay calls as well. Have you listened to those?
Oh, no, I haven't actually.
I did, and I felt a bit uncomfortable. The decoy was like really into it. It was odd.
What do you mean?
The decoy was like, you know, when he turns up, have you seen that Hanson? Well, you've definitely seen it, Andy. The Hanson versus Predator, where John Dupay turns up and he goes, "Hey, boo." Well, that was the decoy's nickname for him. Like she would literally start all the phone calls with, "Hey, boo," and she was kind of like she was, you know, she wasn't like Kayla, where it was kind of a blank surface to be painted on, or in Lord's case, to be sprayed with cum. But it was...
Hey.
Sorry, you got to slip an odd dark joke in there from time to time. But it was, she had a personality, and that kind of made me feel, I don't know, just a bit weird. Kind of like she was kind of into it, if that makes sense. You'll need to listen to it and tell me what you think.
But doesn't that just mean that they're good at the job?
Yeah.
Well, I think,
but I see the creepiness of it, though.
Yeah, is it being good at your job? Or I think that it kind of almost reflects on the Ramona calls and stuff, like saying you've got to put these guidelines in place and say this is okay, this is not okay. Like, it's, for example, you know, you take like creep catchers or those UK pedo hunters, and a lot of the time I think they go out of their way to entice people into their stings. And morally, I'm not sure if I'm down with that. You know, okay, so the guy goes with it. Yes, he's depraved. He's a degenerate. But is it okay to entice someone?
Danimation's just made a really good point and said predators have evolved in the social media era. The decoy had to be more into it, since kids these days have an audience on social media.
That's a fantastic point, Danimation, and one that hadn't really crossed my mind.
So in other words, you're stupid, Adam.
Yeah, you're stupid, Adam.
So I wouldn't make judgments and without.
What did you
actually
say?
listening. Sorry?
What did you say?
Said you haven't heard the calls.
Oh, yeah, we haven't heard the call.
No, we can still call you stupid though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, anyway, anyway, I'll remind you of that comment next time I teach you a new word, Andy.
Oh, that bird.
But no, for me it was odd because she was very much into it. Now maybe kids mature this age, but she certainly didn't sound like a 13-year-old on those calls. She sounded like intelligent, witty, funny.
Yeah, but you don't forget the decoy that played Kayla. Even in the phone call, what the fuck? She played the part very well of a naive, stupid 13-year-old girl. Now, if you think Dynametion's point of children are growing up a lot quicker these days, aren't they? Because of what they're exposed to on social media, like Dynamation said. Kids, the world's a more complicated place, so that when you're growing up, I would suggest that the kids are a lot more wiser, aren't they? Do you get what I mean? They're more like... If you look at the character of Kayla on the phone call, she was like numb as fuck, wasn't she? She's just a proper child, and she even sounded younger than 13, didn't she? And she, we haven't heard many other phone calls, so you're comparing that call to specifically to Kayla, aren't you? Do you get what I mean?
Kayla kind of played the decoy that played Kayla was a Sherry Twist. She played it off like very childlike as well, though. I think we talked about this when we decided Lorne was an absolute degenerate, or I decided that, and that he deserved everything that was coming to him. But that was another case of Lorne bipolar. But there's that part where she kind of goes, "My mum and dad are fighting, and they shouldn't be." Whereas if you go and listen to these calls with John Dupay and the girl's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to do this tonight, I'm going to go and see my friends, and she's cracking jokes and things. There's a personality there. Now, not saying that it doesn't make it okay, of course it doesn't, but she certainly didn't sound like a kid on those calls.
Yeah, I do remember hearing clips of them in the actual Handsome vs Predator, but I've not listened to them in any... I think Joey got hold of the actual chat logs as well.
Well, I think it's Joey that's got the John Dupay calls, so go and check them out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get hold of the chat logs. I've actually thought about doing some going through some of the chat logs on the Perverted Justice site, and just doing, ironically, just doing stuff other than law, not to. Not just because of this content of this video, but I was thinking of that anyway. But I suppose it's like I've mentioned a lot of times, when TCAT was originally aired, on internet trolling or internet predators have only been was a pretty new thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the internet hadn't even been around that long, had it? Because
it was starting to become like mainstream. Like the internet access was starting to become more accessible, and it was becoming more in the homes and at school and all that. It was right in the bubble.
It was back in the days of text chat rooms as well, and
We're very popular, yeah.
Very popular, and very, anyone could say whatever they were, and you just had to take it as face value because you had no way to prove or disprove it. These days, you can go, well, send me a picture holding my name up or whatever. So yeah, we're in a different landscape to where we were when the original TCAP aired completely, and perhaps that means the decoys do need to change their techniques.
Well, it looks like you've got an admirer in the chat for once, Adam.
I've got loads.
Where are they? Oh, they're all on your 20,000 subscribers. Oh, is it 24? Has it gone up to 25 since we've been talking?
No, it's been going down today. But
oh yeah, do you remember that Popovich guy that generic Mike Mills just mentioned?
Popovich? No.
Oh, he was the worst one. Like, he was this granddad fella. Can anybody enlighten me in the chat? Because I might be getting mixed up with another one. He was one of the... if I remember correctly, he was like the worst predator we'd ever seen. He he was into like all this dominatrix shit, but with a younger girl, and he got this girl to call him like grandpa. Am I getting the animation? I think I love Popovich. Am I right? Is he like the worst one? There was something specifically that he did. Yeah, he was the military guy, Ken. But there was something else about him, something that made him like even worse. Oh no, yeah, you might be right. I'm thinking of Gentile, aren't I?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah. I got mixed up. Cheers for the correction, guys.
Was Popovich the original TCAP or HVP?
HVP. Fleet Captain. Fleet Captain is the worst. Is the worst chat log on Perverted Justice website. They weren't caught on any of the shows or anything, but I'm sure Big Sherman went over, or am I getting mixed up? Someone went over the Fleet Captain chat, and it's horrible. It's fucking horrible. Oh, that's right. Gentile wanted to make child porn. Yeah, proper child porn as well. Not like Lon, where he wanted just to photograph for himself. This guy wanted to make it, and like it seemed kind of distribute it as well by the looks of it.
Damn.
But yeah, it was pretty bad. But what was we were going to save the other YouTube videos for another time, weren't we, guys? You know, so we could get it on screen.
Oh, luxury pranks.
Yeah, just guys, just for anybody that's listening to this now, check out a YouTube channel called. In fact, do you want to say, Adam, because you know more about it than I do?
Well, don't check them out. Don't give them any fucking kind of.
No, I know it's kind of a bit of a, but with.
Well, if you want a bit more information on it, guys, I made a video on them, but Mr. Gigi has been making videos on them for quite some time and knows a lot more about them than I do. So if you check out Luxury Pranks on either my IREC Everything channel or Mr. Gigi's channel, you'll get a bit of information. But these are a pair of absolute cunts.
Wow! Don't pull any punches, Adam.
Well,
but he's right. But we're going to get into it now, and I don't kind of want to. But you're right. Basically, there's some.
A brief synopsis, if that's okay.
We were going to talk about it today, weren't we? But we wanted to show the video.
Yeah, the thing is, like, we didn't know of them till recently. It wasn't actually Mr. Gigi that I found out about them from. It was a YouTuber called Leon Lush, who's a really good YouTuber. But he talks about them, and they basically have just ripped off everything TCAP, right down to having a video where a dude comes out of McDonald's and goes, I was just getting something to eat. But it's all set up, and they blur the faces out of these supposed paedophiles, which are clearly actors, and people are lapping this shit up. They've got millions of subscribers, and they're basically just ripping off, and it just sickens me. And they do this thing at the beginning that's so fucking ugh.
Yeah, but I wanted to do a whole video based on that, which we will do at another time, but I wanted to show the video, and it'll give people the opportunity to have a look at what we're going to talk about, and then everybody can get involved. But from a personal point of view, it brings up some really, like, in my opinion, a lot of interesting topics about the way that people are using this to just make money and for their own popularity. It's really quite sick, I think. Let's not go into it anyway, but guys, make up your own opinions, check it out, and we're going to do a stream about it soon, and we'll see what everybody thinks. But it does bring up a lot of interesting topics, I think, and about the rights and wrongs of YouTube, which does seem to be a continuing thread. But yeah, as far as from, just to kind of sum up, because we have been going in a while, I'm not just saying this because I fell out with all the Ramona stuff and I wasn't happy necessarily the way it went. I'm not just saying it because of that, because I did fucking love some of it. I just think that when you've got enough of something, it's always human nature to want more, and it's not always the right thing to do. So can you not just be happy with what you've got, is what I'm saying. And like you mentioned before, Chris, this so-called community, when it doesn't get new content, kind of turns on itself.
Yeah, and I think that's because, not to single anybody out or isolate the whole entire community, but that's because if you kind of look at what it is, that they're stemming off of. Stemming off of a pedophile doing crazy shit, and they're stemming off of kind of something like Adam said, niche and kind of bizarre, and I would say like normal people. I say quotation marks that wouldn't necessarily be interested in it. That are, and that just kind of, and maybe it breeds a different type of person that's attracted to that. So when the well dries, those people are going to still want that adrenaline rush or endorphin rush or whatever they're getting off of it. They're going to still want to get that, and their actions are attributed to the type of person that they are. Does that make sense? I'm trying not to be like super. I don't think everyone's toxic, but I deal with studying behaviors as part of my job, and I'm not excluding myself from being a part of it because I was at one point. So I'm just stating it from trying to do like an outside the box kind of fishbowl perspective, and it's just social groups work that way. That's just kind of how they're constructed because human beings are social creatures. Right.
Right. I didn't realise. Yeah, apologies, guys. I do. I've got like hotkeys set up, and I was typing something on the computer, and it ended the stream without. It's quite funny how Adam was in mid-flow as well, which I wouldn't have done it then. But yeah, sorry. What was you babbling on about, Adam?
Well, I said I was just saying something nice to you. I'm not going to say it now.
Oh, you was, weren't you, as well? It's one of the very few times. One of the very few times he's actually said something pleasant, and he was saying how great my content was, or something along them lines.
I said I liked the way you looked at the Predators because it was more of a,
analytical
view of them. And sometimes you do have to question the people's motives that get involved. Is this because they want attention themselves, or is it because they want to create a conversation between people that will listen about the psyche of this guy? So that's why I approached you to make videos with you, because it was interesting. Whereas there are plenty of great content creators here. There's loads of people that have got information that has been fantastic, that have gone to huge lengths to get those things, but at the same time there's people that have come in and gone from the community that have made a few videos, wanted to make it all about themselves, and when people have seen that, they've run away with the tail between their legs. And that's kind of a toxic behavior. I think some people go, look, in total, how many people do you think is in the TCAP community? Maybe maximum 15,000?
Damn, that many? That's a lot.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of lurkers.
Yeah, I've never really thought about...
Maybe 5,000. And so people come in and they go, I'm going to make this all about me because it's a small enough community to do that. And then when it kind of blows up in their face, or it starts to become clear that this isn't about giving us new information, or perhaps not new but interesting and different information about Lorne, this is about you, then people turn on them because, or they walk away. And I think that's where the toxicity comes into it. Is what you're making, is your content about you, or is it trying to provide something insightful? Do you just want the adulation that comes with making Lorne content, which to be fair is fairly easy to get, or do you want to actually provide something that's interesting and conversation starting?
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it, really, and I suppose it links us nicely to what we was talking about with these luxury pranks, because we all know what they're trying to do. They're not interested in providing entertainment. All they're interested in is making money, which on the surface of it there isn't anything wrong with, but what they are doing is manipulating people in the process, which isn't...
Wait, there's people making money off of being a Lornographer?
Ooh.
No, Andy's talking about luxury pranks now.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry. The point is, Adam said about people doing it for purely attention or to create decent content, and that luxury pranks, although they've got like a million subscribers, but like, so in other words, there's a million fucking idiots on YouTube that will watch fucking anything, because that stuff is terrible. And I'm not joking. If you think that that's real, you're either under the age of 13 or you're a fucking moron.
Well, you read through the comments and it's really sickening. Like, people are saying, "I'm so glad I watched this. I know how to avoid a predator now." And I'm like, these guys are actors. These aren't real
They're
predators.
not even good actors. It's terrible acting. It's like watching the Predator version of The Room.
Yeah. No,
That's a good analogy.
Because The Room's entertaining, whereas to me they're not. It's just sickening, and they've made hundreds of these videos now, and they've basically, you can't type. Someone actually, they left a comment on the video I made about luxury pranks, saying that they went on their comment section. Apologies if that person is here now, and I've not name checked you. I can't remember who it is, but they said they went on there and they checked. You can't type fake, setup, phony, and.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry guys. I'll have to change the hotkeys. I was just writing a reply to somebody, but forget it.
Stop
Sorry.
asking people how many hairs they've got down there until the stream's over.
I can't help myself. Yeah, but it's kind of. We were talking about this before, weren't we? About, you know, how, I mean, we're getting into YouTube culture now, aren't we? What the right, you know, not necessarily the rights and wrongs, but we said how generally easy it is to not necessarily. It's not easy to make a career out of YouTube. It certainly isn't, but it's easy to gain popularity. All you have to do is make shitloads of videos and title them. You know, just give them imaginative titles, don't you? Popular titles like, I don't know, something about popular topics or whatever, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, we'll get into a whole different subject here, and actually it's something I might talk about on I Wreck Everything at some point, like clickbait and that sort of thing. A lot of people accused me of that on my most popular video, you know, but to me, I wasn't clickbaiting. I told it what I thought was correct, and people disagreed with that, but then it became my most popular video.
No, but there's nothing wrong with you doing that, because your general content is decent, because
Thanks.
You are making people laugh, and there's a bit of creativity behind it. There's a little bit of not much, but there's a little bit of talent behind it as well. But whereas these luxury prank people, I can't see any attributes that they've got at all.
Oh, no,
so there's nothing wrong with you doing that, because what you're doing is you've got a set formula that people like and people enjoy, and what you're trying to do is make that bigger. And if you're going to put a few clickbaity titles, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're putting clickbaity titles on shite content, then you're just a fucking loser.
Well, I think the two guys in it as well. I did like. Have you seen the video where he actually starts dressing like Chris Hansen? It's fucking and it sickens me, because at the start they go, "This week's missing kid," and they have a real life missing child at the beginning. It's just like fucking bottom feeders, man.
The HVP files. I have all the HVP chat logs. Well, if you don't mind sending them to me, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Well, good. What's the thing they always say on Reddit? Username checks out.
But I mean, you know, we're kind of going mainly down the YouTube. We're getting into YouTube sort of territory now, but it's kind of if you think about it, where's YouTube going to be in like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? We're at a very early stage, really, aren't we? So it's kind of it's developing its own landscape at the minute, and you know, it's like we were talking about Base Sharman and how well he's done. He started off in Lornography. He's doing really well. He makes great content, bring loads of people together. He's got like a dead positive outlook, tries to help people. He's a perfect example. But didn't his monetizing rights get taken away recently?
Mark told us that earlier, didn't he?
I wasn't aware of that, but
only recently, yeah.
And he goes out of his way to try and abide by YouTube regulations, and even he's sort of tripped up a little bit, which means that YouTube are a very strict mistress, aren't they?
Well, the thing is, I've made videos that have been almost identical, and one's been monetized and one's been demonetized, and I just don't understand what they. and I hate to digress too much here, but it angers me because the worst you're going to get in one of my videos is maybe the well, I don't know why I'm saying the C word, maybe me saying cunt. Well, you'll definitely get that in most of my videos. But you've got like children sexualizing themselves out there, like we were talking about that Danielle Cohn, for views and for money, and they'll get monetized. And I mentioned this to both of you earlier. This fucking whole niche that's going on at the moment of speed cleaning, which is basically softcore porn for 14-year-old boys. I mean, fair play to the ladies that are doing it. They've manipulated the system, but people are getting away with that shit. Whereas I can't call someone a spastic.
No, you're right.
If I'm being totally honest with you, Adam, I'm surprised Morio videos haven't been like taken down. Not that because I think there's anything wrong with them, but because you do stand on the edge of. Because you personally insult these people, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, normally it's in retaliation, though. To be fair, I don't. Well, actually, sometimes I have just phoned them up and been quite abusive when I've got frustrated or bored because they're not playing my games with me. But we'll actually say I've had demonetization. I've never had any kind of strike or anything. I'm still in perfect standing with YouTube on both my channels. But
you've done well there, because I would have thought, and I hope I don't jinx it, I would have thought they'd have fucked you off by now.
Yeah, but you know what? I got my foot in the door at the right time because I came in about 8 months before the adpocalypse, and I was quite lucky. I've been very lucky. I don't mind admitting that, with having like that 1 or 2 videos that have gone viral, and I think I'd grown a decent. And I think YouTube have been less harsh towards people that were bringing money into them, because you got to remember, every ad or every bit of money I get from them, they're getting a fair large proportion.
So you think that the only reason they haven't taken you down is because you're doing quite well?
Because I earn money for them, and I'm sure it's the same for most people that had, say, between 2,000 and 10,000 subs before Adpocalypse came in, and before they've brought in these new regulations now, haven't they, that you can't monetize till you've got at least 10,000 view minutes and 1,000 subscribers. So it's making it incredibly hard for new content creators. So I was very lucky. Well, I was both lucky and unlucky to get in at the time I did, because if the Adpocalypse hadn't happened, probably I'd have a lot more motivation to keep doing what I was doing. But it did happen, but I was lucky to get in as early as I did, and I've built something of a following by that point. And I think, you know, it would be shooting yourself. I'm not saying, not that I bring in loads of money, but like I think YouTube looked at it and they went, okay, we're going to stop these people because they make $5 a month. That's nothing to us. But people that are making a few $100 a month, then they're going to give them more leeway. That's just my theory, though. I don't have anything to back this up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll wrap it up soon. I did say that about 20 minutes ago. Before we do, I wanted to talk about them Danielle what are they called?
Well, just the girl, isn't it? Danielle Cohn.
Have you heard about those, Chris?
No.
Yeah, she says she's 14. Rumor has it she's 12, but we don't know.
It's just basically somebody who's very young on YouTube, got a channel, and they really like sexualize themselves. The titles of the videos are all like dead promiscuous. It's like me and my boyfriend do things together, and she's dressed like very provocatively, and it's all enticed to draw in young girls of that age. Is there anything wrong with it?
How old is she?
We don't know. She's under 16.
She says she's 14. Rumors say she's 12, but she claims she's 14. But yeah, I mean, even her most, believe it's her most popular video is called "Trying on Adult Halloween Outfits for My Boyfriend," and in the thumbnail she's wearing a Playboy bunny costume.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And it's basically sexualizing somebody who's that age.
That shouldn't be. I mean,
It shouldn't be
It
allowed.
should be. They monitor. God forbid, I use a Marvel clip in my video, but this chick can go on half naked, underage. What the fuck?
But this is it, and this shit is making loads of money, and it shouldn't be allowed because it's only a couple of rungs down the ladder from child pornography. Who do you right? And sorry, because I know probably you guys aren't as into pop culture and stuff as I am, and I follow this guy called Memulus, and not the greatest YouTuber, but he makes some half decent content. I guess you'd call him a commentary person, but he was the one that I learnt about this Daniel Cohn from, and he made a video, and he's a fairly young guy himself, like 20, and he said like her boyfriend I think is like 17, and he said, well, that's a bit odd, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and kind of I can't think of the word here. He didn't say it outright, but he said like that maybe he's a bit of a pedo, her boyfriend, and she made a retaliation video to the guy going, well I'm making videos for other 14 and 15-year-olds. It's like, you've got like 2.5 million subscribers, love. Most of those are 50-year-old dirty fucking perverts. They aren't 14 and 15-year-olds.
Right? Isn't there a YouTube Kid, like a separate app for just kids?
Oh, well, that's the whole Elsagate shit, but we'll go down a whole nother rabbit hole there.
Yeah, I just, I think there's really no clear-cut answer to solving all these problems.
YouTube needs to be regulated properly. If they came to me and said, all right, we want you to say your content's for, well, they wouldn't come to me personally, but, or me or anyone who does similar things to mine and uses bad language like I do and says, okay, this is for mature audiences, it should be over 18, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I wouldn't have an issue if they said you need to put a warning on the beginning of videos. But they can't at the same time allow children to run around in fucking bikinis.
Right. Exactly.
You can't go, well, you're not allowed to say cunt, but she's allowed to display her tiny tits and turn on dirty old pervs. No. But
I agree.
I mean, the whole Elsagate shit and the kids app, it was all fucked up because it was like they thought there were so many kind of gobbledygook comments in the comments that this was pedos using a code to sell children and stuff.
Oh, that's fucking creepy.
Yeah, now that you kind of put it like that, Chris, about what they're doing in the videos, it does seem wrong because you are basically what that Danielle is doing. She's sexualizing herself in her videos to gain followers, and these people are under 16. So legally, it's fucking wrong, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
She's also doing psychological damage to herself that she's not aware of. Because she's so young at that age, the brain, not to get all, whatever, but it's honestly true. That shit that she's doing right now is going to damage her as an adult.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Fact.
Like, the thing is, because she's getting a lot of hate as well, because people are going,
right.
You shouldn't be on YouTube, and you certainly shouldn't be on YouTube wearing that.
Exactly. Like, where the fuck are your parents?
Well, I think
I think maybe don't have any.
No, you should be 18. But the thing is, how do you put that in place? How do you enforce saying, okay, you can't start making YouTube videos until you're 18 years old? How do you enforce that?
I don't know exactly, but I just want to say real quick, I think it needs to start at home with the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean but the thing is,
monitor your kids, be involved in what they're doing. Teach them the right ways. You know what I mean? If my daughter almost cussed real big time, if I found out she was doing this, I might die. I'm not going to even let her get anywhere near doing something like this, even if she hates me for the rest of my life. But I'm not letting her being psychologically damaged or thought of in a sexual way by fucking men.
That's the way. You either get hate or you get objectified if you act like that online.
The hate can also hurt her as well. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying that hate's a good thing.
But it sickens me as a teacher and a father of a daughter.
Well,
that's
yeah,
allowed.
I guess it probably hits home a lot more to you, Chris, than either I or Andy. But Um,
Anyway.
Yeah, if I found my daughter parading around in a Playboy costume on YouTube, I'd be like, right, well, no more internet for you ever, and you're not allowed to leave the house again. Fucked up there. Because, yeah, but there you go. But the trouble is, you like that Daniel Cohn, for example, she's probably raking in thousands of dollars every month. Her parents probably don't give a fuck. It's like the parents that put their children into beauty pageants and shit in America.
Yeah, that's why I said it's got to start with the parents.
Yeah, but parents, some parents are sick and they'll sell their kids for a few cents, more or less, or they'll sell, they'll go, yeah, we're gonna put our daughter in this beauty pageant so that guys can perv over her when she's 11.
It's going on in Hollywood with kids and all that stuff, and parents taking a blind eye to the pedophilia stuff because they want the money from their kid. It's everywhere, but it's got to start at home with the parents and the mindset and the kids and what kind of world they're going to face and the things that they're going to face. And I don't know, me personally, man, not to get too off topic, but I'm going to try my best to let my daughter have a childhood, for crying out loud, and I don't want her growing up too fast. I don't care if that makes her naive a little bit, but whatever. I'm going to do my best to let her be a kid when she's 12, 13 years old.
We live in Oh, sorry, Andy.
No, just, it's, it's a controversial subject, isn't it? I'm kind of glad we touched upon it a little bit because, it links nicely to what we're talking about with regard to predators and vulnerability of children, and it's being exposed, and YouTube are allowing it, but yet, my channel got taken down for bullying and harassing Lorne. I mean, really? I don't think that was the only reason, but, it's just bollocks, isn't it? It really is.
We live in this kind of ever-changing landscape of social media, and I'm sorry to say, but in the context of people nowadays, we're old farts, and it's hard to keep up with these things. And I hate to make you worry, Chris, but it's going to get more and more difficult because you might hear about one app and go, okay, I'm not going to let my daughter use that, and the next day a different app pops up. You look at this TikTok shit. I know I mentioned this before, but not here, but like I was watching a video about like TikTok cringe, and then this video popped up, and it was a girl, she was 14 if she was a day, wearing little shorts, wiggling her ass around while singing a duet with a guy who must have been 45, perhaps older. And I thought it was part of the video I was watching. I thought it was going to cut back to the guy going, oh, this is creepy as hell. No, it was the advert for the TikTok app. It was literally saying, if you're an old dirty perv, come and have a look at some children.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
That's just...
I was watching it on my phone, so I realised I didn't have ad blocker on for once. Normally I turn it off for YouTubers I like, as you should do, for Andrew, myself, and Chris, of course, anyone in the chat. But, like, on my phone...
My channel's not monetized.
Oh, right. Just for mine. Just turn it off for me. But, yeah, I forgot I was on my phone, and so I forgot there was no ad blocker, and so I didn't realise it was an ad until I'd watched the whole thing, and then it popped up TikTok, and was like... What the actual fuck? What kind of world are we living in these days?
It's pretty... maybe we should talk about that a bit more in some detail another time, because there's a lot to get our teeth into there. But I'm gonna have to quit now, and I want to thank you guys. I think it's been really good. We've brought up some really good points, even though we were talking about his lawn getting boring, but it has brought up some other interesting points. Anything final you guys want to say?
No, just delete your archives.
Chris, do you share that sentiment?
Oh, yeah, you always have to delete your archives. You never know when you're going to get hit by a car.
Yeah, can't leave any evidence behind. But cheers, guys, in the chat. Just to let you know, in case you're not already aware, Clobbering Time, I believe, is doing a stream now. And he does some pretty good stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I would suggest you go over there. I can't. I'm sure you guys know who he is, but he's doing a stream now, so Go and check that out. He's a really good guy, and he comes out with some decent stuff, and I'm sure you'll have a bit of fun. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be doing some more videos soon with Shin's Koala, hopefully, as well as whatever else aside. Some more with Adam and Chris soon. So guys,
looks like someone wants us to do a stream about the whole TikTok situation. So maybe that's something we can. Well, in fact, we were kind of planning.
No, that's kind of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, go and check out the video that Clobbering's Time doing. Sorry.
Just read Psychology's comment. Sorry, that it just made me laugh.
Yeah. Make sure you've worn for 3 days straight. So yeah, guys, go and check out Clobbering Time's stream. He's doing a stream with Brandy B, who's active in the community, who I've been in contact with recently. I think we're going to make a video soon. So guys, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun, and I'll speak to you later.